A wintry pattern is setting up as we move in toward Thanksgiving, and that means cold, snow, and lots of it for some of us. I'm going to break down just who will see the flakes fly for the holiday and beyond. And as we move into December, the models are in disarray with the pattern, but I'm going to tell you why that shouldn't worry you too much if you're a winter weather fan. Plus, we've got severe weather in the picture again today and tomorrow, and one model even has a hurricane approaching the United States. I kid you not. We're going to take a look at all of that, break it down in today's video. We're going to start right here by taking a look at the pattern as we move out of November and in toward December. Welcome into the channel, friends. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Jason. I've been tracking weather for over 40 years, and winter weather is the most fun weather, in my opinion, to track. And we're going to have a lot of fun on this channel looking at winter storm threats and the weather pattern as we head into the winter. And we're going to start today on the video by taking a look here at what's happening around Thanksgiving and beyond. And I'm showing you a couple of operational models, and we're going to run those out to the end of their runs. Operational models, and I'll just say this as a preface, operational models are not the way to forecast the long range, okay? But I want to show you a couple of things to give you an idea of why you should not worry, even if the models want to oscillate back and forth between cool and warm and show a predominantly warm pattern. We've been seeing some of that in the models. I want to show you a couple of things just to give you a little bit of encouragement if you're a winter weather fan, okay? So what we're looking at here is the European AI model. This is one of the artificial intelligence models that's available to us now, in addition to the standard GFS and the Canadian and the European that you've heard about for so long. What you're seeing here is blue colors and orange colors. This is a mid-level height anomaly map. If you watch this channel, you see this a lot, and you see these kind of big orange colors like this, and big blue colors. Orange is mid-level higher heights, heights that are above normal in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and you can just correlate that usually to warmer temperatures at the surface, and blue is the opposite. Lower levels, lower height levels than normal with cooler temperatures. So if you want to keep it really, really simple, look where the blues are, and that can show you, give you an idea of where your house is, whether it's going to be warm or cool. Okay, so we're going to run this out. This is Thanksgiving. We get on out to the end of November, and look at this. Red colors in the east, orange colors in the east, and blue colors out west. That means cool out west, warm in the east. That's what you could take away from this pattern if you want to be really simple about it. We run this on out to December the 4th. Still got this big southeast ridge kind of poking in, keeping us warm here, but some blues making it to the northeast, and then blue off the trough off the coast of California. And look at this, as we get way on out here toward the end of the run, we get some blues over the eastern portion of the country now. This had a bunch of reds over here before. Now it's showing some blues out here, and a little bit of reds up here toward Greenland. That's a negative NAO. It's an east-based negative NAO, meaning it's not ideal for us, but it does help to trap this low pressure in the mid-levels up here. Probably got a surface low up here somewhere around Nova Scotia as well. And look at this little blue thing coming across the country. You see, this is the short wave like that. When you see that little kink in the jet here in these height lines, I guess you could call it a little blue area, that's a disturbance moving in across the south. And what you're going to see if this pattern were to come to fruition, and it very well could, get high pressure here pumping in cool air down the east of the Alps, wedging with a system working in this way. This is one way that you can get an East Coast winter storm in a pattern that has appeared to be, for the large majority of it, warm. So again, the takeaway is when you see warm colors over your area way out in time, the model is not always going to be right about that, and you can still get winter storms even in a bad pattern. All right, so don't give up just because there's some warm colors or red colors that show up over your house out in the long range. This doesn't mean this is going to happen, but it's something that could happen in a pattern like this. This is the actual European model itself, the physics-based model. There's the blue colors around Thanksgiving. That hauls out of here, it gets to the east, and then look what happens. More troughing in the center portion of the country. You get this little lag trough back out into the southwest, but eventually we see more blues coming into the east, and then we get sort of a full latitude ridge in the middle of the country toward the east to end the run. So European model doesn't show that winter storm, but again, it shows variable weather through the run, okay? So it's not locking in a hot pattern for the east. And here's the EPS, the European ensembles, just to give you a flavor of what they're showing. Sources puts a big trough here in Canada keeps it very, very cold up there, and it wants to build a southeast ridge and just sort of keep that in place, and it migrates that back to the center portion of the country. This is not a winter weather pattern for the east, but again, I think the weather some of these models are not picking up properly on tropical forcing. We've talked about tropical forcing. That's the MJO. Check this out. This is a 4-run trend of the European AI ensembles. And the takeaway here is, look, it's shown very warm temperatures over the southeast with a ridge signal here that migrates back to the east. Though look at the latest run. That's the oldest run and the latest run. As we get way on out in time, it's starting to see a trough here, a little bit more troughing along the east coast. So these models are not quite picking up as they're showing these warm solutions way out there in time. They're not really watching the NAO, or not the NAO, the MJO is what I meant to say. They're not picking up on tropical forcing. We're still seeing the signal for the MJOs we get on in toward mid-December, making it into phase 8. And we should see in the meantime plenty of action here in phase 7 that will put troughing over the center portion of the country, keeping it cool there, giving us cool air to tap as we head on in toward phase 8 and 1 and 2, loading up Canada with cold air. And that's good for us. It means winter can come in a hurry when the pattern gets ripe. So I think the models are not picking up tropical forcing well by trying to establish a big ridge all up and down the east coast and a big trough out west that just doesn't fit with tropical forcing. And so we're going to watch how things evolve, but I think that we're going to see more in the way of correcting back, as we saw with the European AI 4-run trend just a minute ago, with troughing in the east showing up more predominantly as we get out in time. That doesn't mean it's going to set up and just stay cold in the east, but instead of this wall-to-wall warm, we're going to see periods of cool weather interspersed in there too, with very cold air up in Canada. And if we get everything timed out just right, we can get a winter storm even in the midst of all of that. Okay, so that's the takeaway. That's what I wanted to show you today. Now we're going to take a look at what's going on around the states over the next couple of days as we go through the week, and we'll wrap up with space weather. If you haven't yet joined the team, friends, hit the subscribe button down below, give us a like, and leave a comment in the comment section. If there's anything I can be in prayer about, please put it down there. Happy to support you. Thank you for the support here and for all the new members that have signed on lately. I really appreciate the growth of the channel. Can't do it without you. Share it with friends. If you have anybody that likes weather, let them know about this channel, because that's the only way that we can grow it, is to grow it together, and interacting with the video helps YouTube push it out to a wider audience, and I really appreciate that. It helps me out and keeps you informed about what's going on, because I'm going to be looking at this and putting out a video about every day as we go on in through the rest of the fall into winter. But right now I've got your weather IQ question as usual, so let's see if you know this. The measure of how much sunlight a surface reflects is called what? Reflective aspiration, albedo, radiation coefficient, or minus absorption? If you know the answer, type it down in the comments. You can do it if you put something down there if you just want to guess, or if you wait till the end of the show, I'll let you know what it is. But right now we're going to talk about severe weather, wind, and snow, because a lot of that is coming for some of us. All right, going to start with satellite image. We've got some clouds over the northeast, clouds and fog here in the middle portion of the country, with thunderstorms rolling through Texas, bringing heavy, heavy rain where these things are training. 2 inches per hour rates are higher in some of these, and then clouds and rain back over the Pacific Northwest as well. You can see that all very clearly. Look at this. Winter storm watches are up from North Dakota all the way through the UP of Michigan, where we're going to find very, very heavy snow falling in some of these areas here, particularly farther east. Winter weather advisories back up for Montana. High wind watches are up for portions of Nebraska and up into South Dakota for tonight through tomorrow evening. And then flash flood watches and warnings up here in Texas, stretching into parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas as well. Around Dallas, seeing a lot of rain and flooding reports there already. Dense fog advisories up from Iowa back into Kentucky, Tennessee, and then down here toward Florida in the southeast as well, seeing plenty of fog hanging around. That'll burn off as the day goes along. Here is the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center rather, and they have outlined a large area of slight risk down here from Austin, Waco, Lufkin, just east of Dallas, back towards Shreveport, Monroe, and on into Jackson, Mississippi. We're seeing the best chance for severe weather today. Around that, you've got a marginal risk for more isolated severe thunderstorms in nature. Could see a couple of tornadoes down here, even a strong tornado or two, not out of the question. Got some veering of the winds with high supercell structures are going to be dominant to start, and then sort of move into a quasi-linear type of a mode with clusters of thunderstorms developing. Wind is a problem, and hail as well. Could see a couple of large hailstones out of some of these too, particularly with those supercells early on in the severe weather mode. Tomorrow, that threat shifts east into much of Mississippi overnight, and then into Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia as we get on through the day tomorrow. Again, tornadoes are possible, a little bit less though, as that system is starting to dampen out in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Wind and hail are possible as well. Here's a surface map for today. We're going to move this up to this display, and you can see there are a couple of areas of low pressure, got a couple of distinct disturbances in the mid-levels that are sweeping through. Could see a lot of rain and thunderstorms in these areas, particularly down here in Texas, moving into parts of Louisiana and Arkansas. You can see some heavier rain in there. You can see that flash flood outline in red, and then the severe weather threat, the predominant severe weather threats outlined here in yellow. And then snow is a problem up into the northeast. If you call it a problem, I like to see the flakes fall, but it is hazardous for travel, and you can see a system that's moving through Montana that will slide east and strengthen as we go through the week, bringing heavy snow farther east as we go on out in time. Here is the upper level energy, or the mid-level energy, that's producing all of this weather down south. A couple of areas to watch. Check out what's going on down here in the south. You've got a little short wave here working through Mexico, and then another one working through Oklahoma, and even more energy working through the northwest as well. And you can see how this kind of comes together this afternoon. We stop it here as we get into the evening hours. Winds are turning out of the southwest. That's bringing warm and moist air through, a little cold front behind this, but warm and moist air up into the south here in the lower Mississippi Valley. That sets the stage for instability. And when you have cooling aloft with these little waves coming through, that lowers those temperatures aloft. You get hail production, you get more instability, and that creates the showers and thunderstorms. And then watch this piece of energy here as we move along. All of this in the south moves to the east, and then you get this big spin start to develop with this energy up here moving through the Midwest. That is just intensifying, and that is going to be the impetus for bringing heavy snow along and north of its path. And behind it, cold temperatures coming out of the north and setting the stage for a cold Thanksgiving and a pretty decent lake effect snow event as we move through the week. Look at that, and more energy coming in the active pattern. Here's what we're looking at as we go on out through the day. We'll time this out. This morning, showers and thunderstorms through Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, showers up through the Midwest as well, or the lower, I guess the mid-Mississippi Valley is probably a better way to describe that. But look at that. Those thunderstorms just build through the afternoon. We're about 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon, and we get on in toward 7 o'clock East Coast time. This is 6 East Central time, of course. And then things start to get into a linear mode, working through Mississippi and back into Louisiana, Monroe. As I said, you guys are getting some thunderstorms, and then down toward Houston, Galveston, places like that, looking at some thunderstorms. And as we go on over toward the east, let's take a look at this. This view will show us the southeast. Plenty of rain back through the Ohio Valley with the system as it sort of weakens and pulls up into the northeast, and things kind of dampen out here in the southeast. We need some rain down here, but we're not going to get a lot of it, just some thunderstorms as we head in toward the overnight hours. Tomorrow afternoon, we're looking at thunderstorms into the evening hours. This is about 9 o'clock East Coast time tomorrow night, and we're seeing that line of showers and thunderstorms dissipate as we lose the heating of the day. It moves on in toward Charlottesville, back toward Raleigh, and then back in toward and south of Atlanta, toward Augusta, back into Columbia, South Carolina. Things just kind of die apart down here toward Tallahassee and Pensacola, and we get a little resurgence of that as we get on into the afternoon as heating picks up. But then Thursday or Wednesday evening, we're starting to cool down, and you can see some of that lake effect snow kicking in from the lake effect snow machine cranking up. Here's a bigger picture as we look on out through the course of the day. Monday into the afternoon hours, we stop it here at 7 o'clock East Coast time. We've seen plenty of rain. This is total QPF. This is total precipitation, and we're looking at widespread areas of 2 to 4 inches of rain falling yet to come through the day for much of the south central portion of the country, and rain and snow falling up here. Some of this is snow into the north. And look at that. That rain just extends on in as we go into tomorrow evening. We'll stop it here through 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. And you're looking at rain up into the Ohio Valley and back into the Northeast, just getting started there. But we've seen plenty of rain through the Tennessee Valley and into the deep South. But look at that. Not much more to go as we head through the rest of Wednesday and get into Thursday evening. Look at that. Nothing much down here going on in the eastern portion of the southeast, just a few pockets of 1/4 of an inch or so, still with those thunderstorms. That's what you're seeing. These little splotches are just indicative of thunderstorms, and it's hard for the model to know exactly where those thunderstorms are going to form. So anywhere from western North Carolina back into the western portions of the southeast into the Tennessee Valley could see pockets of 1 to 2 inches of rain where those thunderstorms form, and the rain comes down hard enough. Plenty of precipitation in the Pacific Northwest. And then look at this. Let's roll this back so you can get a good look at this. Up here along the northern border states, that precipitation just cranks up as we go on in toward Wednesday evening, and then getting on into the overnight hours Wednesday. You're seeing lots of precipitation fall out of this, and most of that's going to be in the form of snow. So your heavier snow is going to be over here into the Great Lakes, but they're going to see plenty of winter weather as we head on in through the week. As a matter of fact, here's the snowfall forecast. Seeing a little bit of snow down here in the Colorado Rockies. But look at that. Snow just picks up as we get on in toward the overnight hours tonight, and we head toward tomorrow morning. Snow should be ongoing up here in North Dakota, northern Montana, looking at snow falling in Glasgow over toward Minot and Fargo, and places like Duluth, Grand Forks, International Falls will start to get in on the action as we go through tomorrow night into the northern Wisconsin, and even middle portions of Wisconsin. Southern Minnesota could pick up a couple of snowflakes as well, but really the UP of Michigan up here approaching Marquette. Look at that. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Lots of snow. We're looking at widespread 2 to 5, 6 inches of snow, and you get on over here into Minnesota, looking at picking up upwards of 6, maybe 10 inches, and then over a foot potentially in parts of the UP of Michigan as that storm system really cranks up back over into the Rockies and into the Cascades and the Olympics. Going to see some snowfall out of this too. So really a snowy week, particularly around Thanksgiving. And by the way, if we go back to this, look, as we just run this on out to the end, look at the lake effect snow machine. Boy, in the lee of the lakes here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 inches of snow in some of these spots where the wind just sort of stays in one direction for a while, and those snow bands sit really over here in the Buffalo area. Look at that. Watertown looking at picking up maybe several inches of snow out of this, maybe close to a foot in spots. And then wind is going to be a problem too as we go through the evening hours to tonight into tomorrow, gusting 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour in South Dakota and Nebraska. And then that moves on to the east, and that wind really cranks up. So you're going to have snowflakes flying. The wind is going to be blowing hard, and it's going to feel like blizzard conditions out here for some parts of the Midwest into the Great Lakes as we go on in toward Wednesday evening and Thursday with that snow falling. And finally, the cold weather coming in. We're looking at Monday morning here, starting the work week. Plenty of us experiencing above normal temperatures, these browns getting above 15 degrees above or so, and then we start to see some of these greens poking in behind that system as it moves into the Great Lakes. And look at those greens, even purples and magentas eventually start showing up as we get on in toward Thanksgiving with cold air advection. Just from Thanksgiving to Friday, we'll see the peak of the cool centered around Friday with temperatures in the 30s and 40s, probably 40s and 50s down here in the southeast, but it's going to feel almost like a winter day with cooling as we get into Thursday and then into Friday and Saturday, and then we get a rebound here in the east, but more very, very cold air building up in Canada, poised to come across the border as we get on in toward late weekend and early next week. So that's what our pattern looks like. Hope that helps you sort of establish your understanding of the weather as we get on in here toward the Thanksgiving and we move to the holiday and beyond. And now we're going to wrap things up with space weather, the answer to that weather IQ coming right up. Friends, I probably prepare too much information and stretch these videos out a little longer than they should be. If you think it's too much, let me know in the comments. It won't hurt my feelings. I mean, I'm trying to sort of narrow down what I want to say and what I want to show you, but there's a lot going on. I want to hit on all of it, and sometimes that might be a little too ambitious, but if you think it's too long, let me know. If you want to see it shorter, or if you like the length of it, let me know that too. I don't know unless you give me feedback, but in any event, space weather is always a concern. Got a coronal hole that's toward us. It's going to be turning away, but we should expect an enhanced solar wind stream that could create minor solar storm conditions, but no big sunspot flaring or not. Sunspots aren't flaring. Solar flares are flaring. Sunspots produce solar flares, but we're not seeing a lot of that. Just some minor sunspots moving toward us. KP looks flat. Nothing going on the coronagraph, so we look pretty good there. As far as earthquakes go, not seeing a lot of earthquake activity there. And the only other thing I wanted to show you here, and you could just watch me do this in real time, is go down here to this time and date. I love this site. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. We go here and look at moon phases, and I like to show this from time to time. We've got a waxing crescent moon. I saw it up in the sky last night. It's pretty cool to look at. Cold moon on December the 4th. May not be cold for some of us, but for some of us it will for sure, so it'll feel like a cold moon, but need to be aware of the moon phases. Weird things happen around a full moon sometimes, so just keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to get you the answer to that weather IQ question. Here it is. The measure of how much sunlight a surface reflects is called what? Out of all of these answers, the correct choice is a B, the albedo. If you knew that, give yourself a slow golf clap. All right, that's the show for today, my friends. Hope you've enjoyed it and learned a little bit along the way as well. Be back tomorrow with another episode of Cold Rain's Weather World. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon or whenever you're watching this video, and have a wonderful holiday week. This is Cold Rain reminding you the weather runs 24/7, but I got you covered right here, right now on Cold Rain's Weather World 4814. Take care, everybody, and God bless.